Hello everyone, my name is Jacob Lofgraven. I am an MA student here at the iSchool, and I'm also a member of the team that developed the MA Practicum web application, or MAPWA for short. Today I'm going to be doing a quick overview of that application and show you how to use it essentially. Before I get into that though, I want to give a quick shout out to all of the MA students who helped us test this app. They have been tremendously helpful. Thank you so much. We could not have done this without you. So before you even access the application, you have to go through a couple steps. And the first one is you have to talk to your advisor about completing your practicum for the semester. Once you talk to them, you're going to reach out to us at Experiential Learning and let us know that you would like to complete your practicum. Once you've done both of those things, you will gain access to the web application. And the way you access it is through this website, practicum.ischool.wisc.edu. Ignore this test part at the front. That's our back-end side of things. Just go to practicum.ischool.wisc.edu. Once you're here, you're essentially going to see this screen. It's the same for you as it is for us. And you are going to go to the Student Login tab. Click that. And you are going to be presented with this instructional screen that gives you some important information and welcomes you to the app. Read through it all because it's very important information. But once you've read through it all, just click I understand. What you're going to see now is the main page of the app, but something I have to do first because I was messing around with the app earlier is clear these sites right here. This is where essentially the sites that you signal interest in are going to show up. So once you signal interest in it, essentially by adding it to your list, it's going to show up right here. But I'm going to delete all of these because I want to show you how to do this from scratch. There's a couple of things that are important to understand here. The first thing is that if this is your last semester, make sure this box right here is checked. Make sure you check that box or make sure it is checked if this is your last semester. Another important feature is that as you can see that this is, an extensive list, but it's not exhaustive. So if you know of a site that you would want to fulfill your practicum requirement at, but it's not on this list, you can add it using the Add Self-Source Site button. And this is where you would put in the site's information and then add it to your list, signal interest in it, like you would any other site. So that's really important too. Another important thing to note is that make sure that whatever term you're completing your practicum in, whether it's summer, spring, or fall, it says that on this drop-down menu right here. So if you're doing your practicum in spring, make sure it says spring. If you're doing it in the fall, make sure it says fall. If you're doing it in the summer, make sure it says summer, because there are different, situations, there are different activities, assignments for each semester, essentially. Another important thing to note is this remote toggle right here. If you're looking for remote work, you can just click it, and you will see the remote options. To go back to normal, to get back to the main screen, you can either click back the remote toggle, or you can click the reset button, which will just bring you back to the original kind of list of options. And this search bar right here is another great tool for filtering. Essentially what you're going to be doing is you're able to filter by site name, location, or library type. So let's say I really want to work at the Chazen, and that's the site I want to work at. So I'm just going to type in Chazen, and there's only one option of the Chazen, but that's all right. And that is it right there. And I can then select from there or just look into other options too. Like I said, the reset button is incredibly helpful. So if I want to go back to the original page, I can just click reset. You can also search or filter by location. So Madison, I just typed in Madison, and you'll see that this brought me all of the Madison opportunities, all the Madison sites I can signal interest in. Then let's say I wanted to look into archives specifically. I can search by library type as well. And I just did that, and as you can see, it brought up all the archive opportunities. Now, in terms of actually signaling interest in the sites, you have to put the sites of interest essentially onto this list over here. And to do that, let's say I'm looking into this one. Make sure to read through all this information because it is pretty important. It's going to tell you stuff about, the required skills they're looking for, or, perhaps, availability, maybe your schedule doesn't match up with their schedule. So it's important to understand, if this would be a good fit for you before you actually signal interest in them And because you wouldn't want to be put in a situation where you signal interest in a site, but then it's something that's not actually a good match for you because you didn't read through the specific information on this list, on this site details list. So if I think it's a good match for you, I'm going to click Add Site, and then I'm just going to do that to a couple of others. You can do a maximum of 5. You don't have to do all 5, but I would recommend it just to keep your options open. So this is the 5th one, so I'm going to be adding it right here. And there you have it, my list of 5. Now let's say, actually, I don't want this one to be a number 1. I want the Oregon Public Library to be above the police department one. How do I do that? Well, it's actually quite easy. You just click on this down here, and then you drag it and drop it to the top. And there you can see Madison City Police Department was number 1, but now it's been moved down to number 2, and I moved Oregon Public Library to the top. You can move it any which way, however you want to do it. Just make sure your list is what you want it to be. Now you're going to click this button to essentially get a blown up version of what you just selected before you submit. So you are not submitting or signaling interest just by clicking this button. This is just going to take you to essentially like a screen that shows you everything at once. You got the name of the library, the site address, the library type, and the order you put them in. If you want to go back and edit, that's perfectly fine. You can click the edit button right there, and it will take you back to the same screen as before, and your list will be intact. And once you kind of have an idea of what you want your list to be, you can go back to this kind of preview and click Submit. Now again, you're going to be given kind of a confirm cancel option, and this is just letting you know that once you submit, it will record your sites of interest, the sites you signal interest in, as well as the timestamp of when you submitted it. And if you resubmit, which you totally can, that will delete your previous submission. That's kind of important because the timestamp plays a role in how people get allocated their sites. So just know that there are risks that come with resubmission, but it's totally okay if you want to change things up. Then once you have essentially done all that and you know that this is the site you want to confirm, you just click confirm to signal interest in all these sites. So you click confirm. This is just letting you know that there will be essentially some follow-up to this. And then I just get sent back to this site. Now, important to know, at the end of the period when people are signaling interest in sites, at the end of that 2-week window, you will then receive an email at the end of those 2 weeks that tells you what site you're being allocated. And you then have the opportunity to see if that site's right for you. And you can reach out to them, the people at that site, and essentially see if it's a good match. And if it is a good match, you match with them. If it's not, you select that it's not a match, and then we kind of go through another process to see what other options on your list are available and what we can match you with from your list. But what's important to know is that you will get an immediate email right after you submit, just telling you all this, just telling you to be keen on the follow-up process. And when I go there, I just got one right now, but this is another example of one I got. And it just says, hello to your net ID. It gives you the order you went in. Obviously, this order is different than the one I just received, the one that I just submitted. But just it's good to know that this is what it looks like. It'll have your sites of interest, it'll have the FAQ, and it'll let you know that the matching process will begin after you've essentially after the interest window has closed. So that's kind of how MAPWA works. It's a really neat system, and I hope that this video has done a good job at explaining it to you. Of course, if you have any more questions, the best way to reach us is email, and you can reach us at the email address ischoolexl@ischool.wisc.edu. Again, I'm Jacob Lofgraven, and I hope you have a good day.